Welcome to the Hollywood Raw YouTube page, guys. We're happy to have you here. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave us comments, do all the stuff.
What are you waiting for? Let's go. I got a drug addiction to feed.
Welcome to the Hollywood Raw podcast. My name's Adam Glyn. Over there is Dax Holt. We got a fun one today. One of our favorite things to do is talk to video journalists. Some people might call them paparazzi, but I like to give them a respectful title, video journalist, because in my opinion, the word paparazzi is just used for Hollywood. If you did the same thing, what we do, covering politicians, you'd call them journalists. So it's just a term that was given to the industry. But the guy today on today's podcast is a friend, a former colleague of us. He has a thing called the Pap Safari, where he actually takes people, hire him to kind of make for him to be, he makes people famous and people hire him to do that. Normal people in the streets. It makes it part of the celebrity experience. He also does these Pap Safari tours where you get to kind of bring your camera and go around with a paparazzi and see what it is like.
It's so smart. I think it's so smart.
Oh, it's
People
great.
are so curious with like the paparazzi lifestyle, and he'll take you out through Hollywood, by Craig's, all these places, and kind of show you what it's really like. And then he'll actually pap you, which is, I think, really funny for like the experience of walking down the street and all the flash bulbs are going off and people are like, "Who the hell is that?" It's just cool.
It's funny. It's definitely fun. And he's also doing a documentary, which is out on Amazon, Harambe, which you're a part of. It's a very cool documentary that he did with Eric Crown, who's another former colleague of ours. It's a really cool documentary again.
And former
Dax,
guest.
And former guest. Dax, have you ever been out with a paparazzi? Have you ever tried it out? And not saying you personally did it, but you went and experienced what it's like?
No. But I guess because I feel like I'm so a part of it, just not out in public. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like I've seen so many photos, so many videos that in my mind, I feel like I'm already a part of the action. I just haven't been out on the street during it.
Sure. That's a totally understandable answer. I would love for you just to see it happen live and what it's like and the energy, the adrenaline that goes with it. And that's what people don't realize. There is a lot of adrenaline that goes along with it. Sometimes good adrenaline, sometimes bad adrenaline. Yeah,
I've been papped before. Did I ever tell you that? Like legit papped, and it was.
Oh, well, who papped you?
I
thought it was Ashton Kutcher.
Oh no, not that. Not when I was getting punked.
Oh,
no, I got punked before by Ashton Kutcher, but not that moment. There was I went to Cheesecake Factory at the Grove with my buddy Ant. Do you remember Ant? He big comedian. Yeah. He hosted nice Celebrity Fit Club back in the day. We went and we had grabbed some food, and it was kind of back at the beginning of when TMZ started to get like crazy popular. So we came out of Cheesecake Factory, and it was just like flash bulbs going off like crazy. It was by like Fame, the Fame pictures back in the day. So all the photos popped up on their website the next morning. But it was the most awkward experience because I'm like, why the hell are they taking pictures of me? Like, I thought it was for Ant, but then when you look at the photos and he was in the background, it was just so fucking weird, the whole situation. And everyone's looking because I'm walking through the Grove, which is essentially a shopping center. And so everyone's like, who the hell is this? And I'm like, I'm nobody. Stop taking my picture. Let me go. And so I don't know who took it. I didn't know the person at the time.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's I've never once I had lunch with a celebrity in Malibu and a solid celebrity, but it was a male celebrity and someone who you'd photograph, but these guys were like not really jumping out. They were pretty far away. There might've been like 60 yards away, and they started shooting him. And I was like, oh wow. At first I was like trying to get in the photos. Like I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of cool. But then all of a sudden I went the next day and it made Daily Mail, and all the photos of me in it were not used. So
they cut you out.
Bummed.
It's like, get out.
Yeah, they cut me out. All right. Before we get to our guest today, we love reviews. We love them so much. We read them on the air because it's the best thing you do to support this podcast. Dax, do you have a review ready for us?
This one comes from Jane S. from North Carolina. 5 stars. The headline is so good. Love listening to your podcast while I work. I love how current, relative, and thorough your celebrity rundowns are. Just long enough without being too much. Also, love your friendship and how well you guys play off each other. Keep it up, from Jane in North Carolina. Thank you, Jane.
Oh, that's so sweet. Jane from North Carolina. That's a very sweet review. And guys, if you haven't left one, leave one. If you already left one, grab someone's phone and make a fun one. I don't care. Just give us 5 stars and say a few kind words, and we'll read it on the air. On today's podcast is a former colleague of ours. He is a video journalist, paparazzi, and actually runs a business called the Pap Safari, where he paps people on the street. People pay him to make them famous. He also brings people where they bring their cameras and they get the paparazzi with a paparazzi, which awesome idea. He's also part of the team that put together a documentary called Harambe that's getting incredible reviews. Dax was in it. Please welcome our friend Jeremiah. Jeremiah, welcome to the Hollywood. What's our podcast called?
Hollywood Raw Podcast. Hollywood Raw.
Hollywood. I was going to say Mumblewood. Hollywood Raw Podcast. Jeremiah, what's up, my buddy? How are you? I love what you do out in LA. You do this thing called Pap Safari, which I think is so funny, so fun, but so well needed because people are fascinated by paparazzi. In fact, when I talk to celebrities and we're in like a position where they could we could have a longer conversation off camera, they're so curious of what I do. And I'm sure, and just not just celebrities, the people on the street are curious what I do. So tell what people, what is the Pap Safari exactly?
It is Airbnb experience where you can go and for an hour get your picture taken by a paparazzi and kind of hear some of the stories. It used to be in Beverly Hills, but now with just my work schedule, it's now just offered at nighttime at Craig's, and to walk around, walk up Robertson, walk a couple iconic spots, and then basically get a bunch of professional photos taken of you and your group. And then if you want to hang out at Craig's and see the animals at the zoo, you can stay there longer.
Do you do it? Here's my question. So you go out in front of Craig's. Do you do it paparazzi style, or is it more like a setup photo shoot? Like, are they walking and you run out in front of them and snap photos and make it all crazy? Or is it just like, here, stand here, let me take a picture?
I'm more crazy, but I give them a little heads up. I'm just like, okay, in this one, just pretend that you don't want the attention. And this one, let me get you just
Oh, that's fun.
Or they're let me get, sometimes I'll hand them my camera and then with their phone, I'll take a picture of them pretending to be a paparazzi. Just fun stuff like that.
I love it. That's awesome.
Dude, you know how many times I've done that where I've just messed with people and start shooting them and make them feel like a celebrity. In fact, I was in Miami recently. A girl came up to me. I was meeting another photographer waiting outside Carbone. And this girl comes up to me and says, hey, would you mind shooting me? And I was waiting for Jeff Bezos at the time. And I was like, she was telling me she was on a reality show, and she was telling me she's doing a pilot for another Bravo show. And I was like, oh, cool. And I kind of I brushed her off. I didn't give her the cold shoulder. I was nice, but I was like, hey, I'm here for Jeff Bezos. And then she goes, hey, listen, can I pay you to shoot me? And I was like, the photographer looked at her. Yeah, sure. So we both, dude, I don't know how this girl had this type of money, but she paid me $250. She paid the photographer $250. And all I did was took the video and uploaded it on Backgrid. So she just spent $500 after eating at Carbone just on the photographer shooting for her. She got the photos and me uploading the video to Backgrid.
That's amazing. That's great money.
It's a good business. It's a good business.
People like the flash. It's just it makes them feel there's it gives them that strobe light effect.
Well, they like the flash when there's other people around, because then everyone starts to look. It's like this crowd effect of what's going on? Who are we supposed to be looking at? And then you're trying to figure out, do I know this person or not? So it works every time.
You know what the funny part about it, Dax, is as I'm the next day I follow the girl on Instagram. And she posts on her Instagram story, paparazzi got me leaving Carbone. And she takes a video. Her friend was videoing it. I'm like, what? I'm like, listen, I'll play games. Sure, I caught you. But I'm like, you pay me good money. You Venmo'd me.
It's a game. That's the game. Everyone does it. Even the
It's actually
biggest
funny.
celebrities in the world, like they want the attention, and then it's like, oh God, paparazzi got me. No, you liked it, and you would feel weird if you walked out of a restaurant and they didn't take your photo.
Well, it's funny because one of our all mutual friends, Justin Foley, former guest on the podcast, told me that he's been working on like the past few nights a certain celebrity. It's a celebrity couple, and they want to be shot every night. And they keep putting on their Instagram stories like, Pap's got us again. I'm like, it's just funny. It is what it is. I mean, I get it. It's part of the game. It's part of we laugh because we're like, we know the truth, but they are just trying to either earn a job or keep a job. I just don't know how they even have the money to it. Would you pay $300 for a paparazzi to start shooting you, like to make you famous? I guess if you had the money, you would. I guess these people have a ton of money.
I mean, yeah, I guess if I had endless cash that I was willing to just throw away to try to booster my my status, sure. But at the end of the day, I've seen a lot of people do this. Like, what was that chick's name? Like Phoebe
Price.
Phoebe Price.
Yeah.
My God, like the amount of times that she would try to get people to take her photo, but like, who's gonna buy it and who's gonna see it? You know what I'm saying?
Like, pay like $250 just for their pictures.
No one. Like I would see her. I would see her on Backgrid all the time. Does that mean that I was going to pay for that photo to put it up on TMZ? Absolutely not. So I'm kind of like, why are you wasting your time?
So that's the thing that people always are curious about in this industry. They're like, how much money do you make? How much money is this photo worth? And it's such a complicated answer because there's so many possibilities that could go in the answer, or let's just say I shoot let's say I shoot Demi Moore. Okay, what was she doing? What was she wearing? Was there other camera guys there? Is she in the news? There's so many variables that you had something, and honestly, the money is not that great anymore. I mean, Jeremiah, you were shooting during the pandemic when there wasn't a lot of celebrities around. You shot Larsa Pippen, right?
Oh yeah, several times.
Yeah, and how much did you get from shooting Larsa Pippen?
$9. But the funny part is that it was like in between when Splash, right before they got bought out by Shutterstock. So I actually never got that $9. Yeah. I'm still happy that Meghan Markle sued Splash because, like, I don't know, all the agencies, just a bunch of crooks when it comes down to it. No, I mean, I don't mean to talk bad about it, but just like I talk to other like paparazzi, they just get burned constantly. Maybe it's karma. Who knows?
$9. So like, how many times did you shoot her?
Oh, well, several times, but like, and luckily, her publicist did pay us like $100 each just to show up. But like, like I sold her picture, and like actually 3 of them sold, but each for $3. I mean, I guess like each for $5, but then after Splash took their cut.
That's literally all you can make off of. Like, that's wild.
And then I actually posted on Instagram on my stories. I'm just like, wow, $9. Like, thanks for the good times. And then the publicist kind of got mad at me and I burned my bridge there.
Oh, well, you made $100 off the publicist, so that works.
Yeah.
Jeremiah, you've been part of some historic relationships. You were the first one to shoot Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez. You were the first one to shoot John Mayer and Katy Perry. What was the most amount of work you did to get a shot?
Well,
do you remember one thing you worked really hard to finally got what you're working for, but you had to put in so much work and energy to get that shot?
I mean, it was like 2.5 hours I had to wait. And it was my tip for John Mayer and Katy Perry. They're at like some party in Los Feliz. And
so you get the tip, and where'd you get the tip from?
I can't mention her name, but she tipped me out, and
okay.
And then I had to basically I shared the tip because I didn't want to be. It's scary when you're all alone, so I shared it with like Backgridder at the time. It was called like something else. And my buddy Julio and Roger showed up. So then it's like we were like had to hide. So like but we were in Los Feliz, so nobody was driving by, but we still had to be like very careful not to get picked up by the party goers, not to get picked up by other paps or just be like spotted. And it was just like, it was
explain why it's before you go on, why is it scary to like do it alone? Because Dax, I don't think you realize like, I hope you could understand how it can be a little scary sometimes to do it alone.
Just out in the wild, or like you're afraid you're going to get beat up, or what are you afraid of?
Well, there's multiple. There's afraid of A, you're out in the wild. B, you're alone. So if something were to go down, you don't have anybody to like have your back. Like you're by yourself, and there things can go bad.
Mhm.
Things can go bad, and when I've had things go
Like
bad
a bodyguard
too, where they try
eating
to
you up, is that what you're referring to?
they make it very uncomfortable. And where you start to you question like what's going to happen once you put the camera up.
Okay. I feel like that's
so you're at
what helps make you safer, because now you've got you've got to document the whole situation.
Yeah. It's easier said than done. Easier said than done when you have a camera in your hand.
Well, I say that because the camera was the only thing that saved me from Suge Knight beating my ass up that one time. Was turning the camera on so that suddenly now I had evidence of what the hell was going to happen.
Yeah. So Jeremiah, you're outside this party, or you have the tip that John Mayer and Katy Perry are inside. Now, do you know if it's romantic? Do you know if it's a date? Do you know if they're together? What's the vibe like?
Well, I knew it was like a hot story because it was a blind item. And it was actually like also got a tip that Robert Pattinson was there. And it was right after the whole cheating scandal. Nobody got him. He somehow got away. But I was happy with just getting the new couple was easier. It was, but I had to wait like, 2.5 hours. And, your nerves are going. And definitely like by yourself, it's just, I don't think I could have done it.
Because you want to make sure you get the shot. You don't know when they're going to come out the door. You got to be ready. And granted, you don't know the weather conditions. It could be cold, and
we planned it out too because they knew what car he was driving, so we we planned it so like okay, we're gonna wait here, so it's the point of no return. So they're not gonna run back to the house, get a friend to pull their car in the gate. Mm-hmm. It's like okay, this is the plan. It was almost it was very strategic.
And so when you say 2.5 hours, it's 2.5 hours of you literally staring at the front door, waiting for someone to leave, right? Like you can't be looking on your phone because you're going to miss it, right?
Well, I mean, you're on your phone, you got other eyes, and I was talking to my tipster a little bit, and she did give me a heads up, but it's just I couldn't leave to hang out, go someplace else.
Oh, so your tipster was inside?
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Nice. Well, that's helpful.
Now, I guess and I don't know if you can answer this question. If you can, answer it kind of carefully because you don't want to talk about who the tipster was. Your tipster. People always ask me, what's in it for them? Why would they tip you off? Were they getting paid out, or were they just want to be helpful? Were they just trying to help you out? What was in it for the tipster?
She definitely didn't need the money. I think she did it just because she I don't think she liked John Mayer. Just wanted to see, she had, but I guess it's just a bit of a thrill for the tipster too. It's they're kind of when they see it in the magazine and stuff like that, they know that
exactly
they're responsible for it.
I agree with you. I say the same thing. Most people are like, do you pay your tipsters? And I don't make enough money where I could pay them. And it's not even because I get the shot doesn't mean there's money involved. It has to sell after you get the shot. So most of the times, from my experience from dealing with tipsters, I don't make a lot of money. You could tell by my outfit. I'm wearing a woman's sweater. But it's I found that out as soon as I put it on. I was like, I think I got a woman's sweater. No, but you don't know how much money it's going to be, if you're even going to make money. So most of the tipsters, fortunately, that I work with are just we're friends. They want to help me out, and I appreciate that very much. So, and they like being part of the game of it. And eventually they were going to be outed. So you get the shot. Was John Mayer cool? Was Katy Perry cool? What was your experience with them like?
They didn't talk, but they didn't they weren't being hostile. They
did they seem surprised when the camera or the light went on?
Yeah, they seemed surprised, but we played it right. They realized we're at let's just get it over with. But I still remember a random car came by and was like, "Who is that?" And I just said it was Weird Al Yankovic because I didn't know who else to say it was.
That's the worst. You'll be outside with a bunch of photographers, and someone comes who are you waiting for? And then I usually just say it's David's bar mitzvah, and they just all feel weird. Oh, okay, I just asked about a kid's bar mitzvah. I'm just a bunch of photographers waiting outside for David's bar mitzvah. but that's it. But you say that just to kind of keep people walking because you don't want to. You're trying not to draw a crowd in respect to the celebrity, and also you don't want to ruin the shot that you're going to get. But that's a huge shot, though. So when you get that shot right away, I'm sure the next day that's all over the world, right?
Yeah, that was on the web like 5:30 the next morning, something like that.
Wow.
And tell me
You're
about
talking
the
breaking the internet.
Bieber and Gomez one. I'm curious. I didn't realize that you were the first one to get the shot of them together.
Well, it was a tip from the office, but it was at the Burbank, what's it called? The AMC Theater in Burbank. And it was like, he was still like, God, this was like January of 2011. So it's just, but I was the only paparazzi there. But like somehow like the word got out to his like fan base. So it was like a bit of like 20 just like kids screaming, going crazy. It was when he still had Big Rob as his security guard.
Yeah.
And he was like, he was publicizing something. And so he like actually like, said a couple words or something about like never say never. And it was just, but it was it was like, because it was such a scene. And like, it was like a bit of a walk in the parking lot. It was like, it wasn't like your quick 10 seconds and it's over.
And then did him and Selena, were they holding hands or just like walking out, or what was the deal?
I think they were holding hands, if I recall, but then they like, stopped holding hands. And then like, she drove in a separate car and then said goodbye. She didn't really
so awkward. Like you're on your first date and everyone's watching you. Fans are watching you. Paparazzi are watching you. And you're like, okay, well, we'll meet up later.
Yeah, and I had a cheesy something because they wanted to see No Strings Attached. It was just some like a romantic comedy at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I asked if there were strings attached in their in their relationship. So but it went well.
I want to ask you like a few celebrities and just want to hear like if you have an experience with them, how they were to you. I'm just curious how celebrities were. And obviously people I was talking to one person, I said this celebrity was a dick. They're like, well, that's what he's actually a nice guy. I'm like, that's just my experience with him. So I just want to see what your experience with a celebrity is like. Like Adam Levine, what's your experiences like with Adam Levine? Cool guy, nice guy. How is he?
Well, I remember like when I got him the first time, he was like super nice. It was outside of Mastro's. He was approachable. It was just like, just shooting the shit. It was, I didn't like hit him with any like agenda. I didn't hit him with any politics. It was just having fun. And I thought he was like really down to earth. But then like, I still remember his turning point because he went to Kimmel and he was being cool to like the autographers. He was signing, he was taking selfies. And then somebody flower bombed him.
Oh, no.
I remember that.
Yeah, I don't know what it was for, but it was just like, and I hate to say it because he was a nice guy, but like, I just died laughing because like he looked like he had pie on his face, and it was just like you could see then that he was done. And then next time I saw him, it was just like, it was a Stonewall. Couldn't get at it.
So wait, when the guy flower bombed him, what happened to the guy who did he get arrested? It was like just a scene, chaos?
It was a scene. I think it was a woman that flower bombed him, but I wasn't there. I just remember the video, and it was just.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Yeah.
What do you flower bomb with? Like, what do you put the flower in that explodes when it? Because you can't put like in a balloon. That's not going to explode when it hits someone's face,
right?
Yeah, you must pack it into a ball, but I don't know how the flower.
You just with your hands, you push it into a ball.
Oh, you just make it like a snowball, of flour.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never flower bombed anybody.
It seems funny though.
Okay.
Seems like a good prank.
How about your experiences with dealing with someone like? I'm sorry, but back to that. The guy got arrested quickly. I'm assuming, or did he run off?
I don't remember.
Okay. Your experience with Dave Chappelle.
What a random name to throw
for you? Well, he's been in the news a lot. I just saw his new special. He's one of those guys where he's like, for me, like he sees you from like a mile away. He's just always like alert. Smokes like he's outside his hotel where he stays in New York. He just smokes cigarettes outside the hotel all day, and he has always like people around him, like an entourage. They're like, I don't want to say hanger-ons, but they seem like hanger-ons. It's weird.
I feel like I've heard good and bad stories about him from people throughout the years.
I've never had a bad, but I've had, from my experience, I've never had a bad, but he'll be like, all right, give me one question, but make sure the question isn't like a bad question. Like, don't ask me something that it's going to make, don't fuck me over.
Mhm.
Well, I had a great experience with him, but I didn't really even interview him because it was like such a good experience. But I
Oh,
was
okay.
I was on the clock, and I was at the Comedy Store, I was just hanging around. In the original room was like 1:30. I was still on the clock, but I wasn't really trying to work. And it was like only 10 people in the audience, and they're like comedians or comedian adjacent people. And Dave goes on. It was like 2011, 2012. So it was like in a bit of like, it was before like the Netflix comebacks and all the, it was a bit in like a drag of it. I mean, not that he, everybody still knew who he was and he was still like, commanded, but there was literally 10 people in the audience and he's not even really doing a set. He's just kind of talking to us. And somehow he brings up like something about the paparazzi. And somebody says, yeah, they're closer than you might think, because I was in there. And then he's just like asking me questions, like, about like the job. And then he's like, hey, so what if we like do a setup shot where I pretend to like beat up a homeless guy, where you just like get me, I'm just like, go away, TMZ, blah, blah, blah. And then I just like, a homeless guy comes asking for money, and I just like, I kick his ass and throw him in a dumpster. And he said like, how much do you think we could get for that? And I'm like, I don't know, like 15,000. And he's just like, just 15,000. And he just thought it was kind of funny that now I think if we did that today, I think we could make a lot more than 15,000.
Oh yeah, I think so.
It's weird. It depends. I actually don't think so, because here's where you're going to make the money. One outlet's going to use it, and then you hope other outlets use it if he's going to fake beat up a homeless guy. But then you got to put it on YouTube, and you got to make sure people don't rip it off YouTube and put it on TikTok, and they just rip off your TikTok and get the views on TikTok. So it's hard.
You just
to
have
make
to be
money
the first one. You got to be the first one to put it up everywhere.
Well, I make sure when I do videos
more
now,
than 15. That seems like a $25,000 exclusive sale kind of thing.
Ugh, dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wish.
But it would have to be a real beat up is the problem.
I wish.
It can't be a fake beat up.
Yeah, you don't tell people the truth. You keep it as,
because then what happens is you get the resale value once there's a court case and there's issues down the road and people have to rebuy it again to talk about it. I could see that being a pretty lucrative set.
Yeah, but he'd have to really beat up the homeless guy. It couldn't be staged.
It would need to be real.
Jeremiah, speaking of biggest set, what was your biggest, not when you worked with TMZ, but as being an independent guy, what do you think your biggest sale or shot was?
I'm trying to think.
You're still waiting for it, huh?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that big shot. But
yeah, it's weird. It's weird though. Like, do you ever just want to hang out? Do you ever just hang outside Craig's and just take in all the actions going on because it's just funny? It's just fun to kind of troll around there.
Yeah, pretty much. It's last Paparazzi Safari where we got made some sales was with the whole Real Housewife Taylor Armstrong, where she kind of made a scene. And even that, it wasn't exclusive, but it went a lot of places, and I probably made less than $200.
What did she do? I don't remember.
She was we didn't recognize her, and she was kind of making a scene about it outside of Craig's.
Okay.
And she was just kind of animated, but
she was annoyed that you guys
didn't
weren't filming her.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny. That's actually a good story.
You know, someone who I love to have a conversation with, and she doesn't do a lot of interviews, but I'd be very curious if she really broke it down, the business, is Kris Jenner. Mm-hmm. I think she is very mysterious, and we don't know exactly what she's done. And I would love to have a really open conversation of what she's done, what she knows, everything she's done in the industry. What's your experiences like with Kris Jenner?
Oh, she plays the game. I have a good story about when I interviewed her. It was a day or 2 days after Kylie and Kendall got caught underage drinking at this one club. I was actually there, but then I left and I gave it to another camera guy. I should have stayed just to juke the point system. But anyway, 2 days later, I get a tip that she's at Katsuya in Glendale. Mm-hmm. So I'm waiting there, and I know I have to ask her or I'm going to get reamed out by the office and whatnot. But she was being like so cool. I peppered her with like, softball questions. And then I knew I had time. So I put the camera down and I said, hey, Miss Jenner, like, as you know, I work for TMZ. And if I don't ask you about like what happened last night, like I'm going to get fired or like, and I was just being really real with her.
Sure.
And I said,
sure.
like, when I put the camera back on, if you don't want to answer, if you want to just ignore me, that's like, I totally understand. But just so you know, I have to ask you or else I'm, I'm dead meat. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she she agreed. And then I asked her.
What do you mean she agreed though? When she agreed though, does she say, okay, I get it? Does she just nod yes? Does she verbally say yes? Okay.
She just nodded. Yeah. Like, like I get it. She just nodded.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, do what you got to do.
I got to imagine though, she appreciated your honesty on just like, hey, I'm going to put the camera up now. I'm going to ask you, do what you want, but I gave you the heads up first. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, it was nice. And like I said, she plays the game. She knows what it's about.
Okay, so how did it go?
How'd it go?
Hold on, Adam. I want to know how it went.
No, I mean, I got the point. When I think it was. I don't think it went on the web because she didn't really say anything, but it went on the show. It went on the. I did my job. And like afterwards, like she was thankful. She wasn't put off by it or anything. So it was success.
God, I would love to talk with her.
I actually noticed one day when I was at I was in an office. We were at Extra, and she went and did an interview at Extra, and we both walk into the elevator bank, like to go take the elevator down in New York City, and she doesn't really know who I am, but we're like we're all getting the elevator together, like we were all going down, and her security is like, oh, he can't go in the elevator with us. It's like, part of me want to be like, fuck you, you can't tell me I can't go in the elevator. You don't own this building. I work here. But they were like, her security is like, oh, he can't go in the elevator with us, which I was about to be like, screw you, and just like force myself in. But I would love to meet her. I just don't really know too many experiences with her, but I think she knows a lot, and I would love to know what she knows.
Mm-hmm. Or just like how to stay relevant in Hollywood. She has mastered that with the entire family, which is really hard to do. And God, I would just love to pick her brain for a little bit.
I had an issue this past week, an incident similar to you, Jeremiah, with Chris Jericho, the wrestler this past week, who was a past guest on our podcast. And Chris Jericho's in the news for not some good stuff. And I really don't know all the allegations against him. There's some stuff that apparently there's some stories about him. None of them have really reached the public yet because nothing's official, but it's hearsay. It's just rumors as of now. And I approached him, and he kind of like turned the corner. He turned away from me. So I was like, maybe he didn't see me. So I tried to go up to again, and then he turns the corner again and doesn't let me go up to him. So then I go up to him a third time, and he turns the corner again. I'm like, he's got to know I'm trying to talk to him right now. So I walk up to him, hey, Chris, listen, I'm not going to ask you anything bad. I was just going to ask you a few like soft questions, like nothing regarding the stupid stuff. He goes, hey, man. He like kind of like talked me to the side and said, hey, man, now is like a very sensitive time. I appreciate that. I'll get you next time. And I was like, you know what? I said, I get it. I appreciate it. And I walked the other way and shook his hand real quick. And it was very like subtle, but I understood where he came from. And I hope, and I think he'll remember that I didn't ask him.
So Adam, you've said that before where people will be like, hey, I'll get you next time. Does anyone actually get you next time?
Yes. John Cena. What do you say?
They do, even if they don't, they give it to somebody else, or so it comes back in some form or another.
Dude, I'll tell you one. This is one of the coolest things. John Cena did one of the coolest fucking things ever. John Cena. This was before the pandemic. He was coming out of a building, and there was another paparazzi out there who worked for an outlet that was gonna ask him some not so great questions, and I went up to John. And real quick, as John walks down the steps, there's a few autographers and that other journalist trying to ask him some questions. I walk up to John real quick. I go, hey, buddy, real quick. I grab him. And I go in his ear. I go, don't say anything. I said, just ignore. Don't say anything. They're going to ask you something fucked up. He goes, got you. What does John do? He ignores the guy completely and just walks off with his wife, fiance. He was maybe engaged at the time, wife or fiance at the time. And he walks off. John starts to walk down Fifth Avenue. I walk up to John and go, hey, man, sorry, man. I didn't want you to look bad. I'll get you next time. He goes, dude, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Like, have a good, like, You're the man, dude. Thank you. Thanks for being a solid guy. Pandemic happens. I don't see John Cena for like 2 years. 2 years I don't see John. And then all of a sudden, John is outside. He's doing the TBS upfronts. And I see him. It was like a long hallway. Like he was down where they were doing construction. And he's down this long hallway. He's on the phone for like 30 minutes. And I see him and he sees me and he's on a phone call, but I don't bother him. He's on the phone. I'm not going to bother him. He sees me for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, he gets off the phone. He starts walking towards me. All the fans, everyone tries to run over. John Cena. He walks straight to me. He walks straight up to me. Goes, I owe you. What you got? And gives me his time. Talked to him for 2.5 minutes on the street. And through all that time, he remembered 2.5 years later that I had his back and I helped him out.
Wow, that's dope.
And it was pretty awesome. It was really cool that he remembered. And I actually said to him, dude, thank you for remembering that because that was really cool. And then honestly, like another person is like Shaquille O'Neal. Like Shaquille O'Neal remembers like what I did for him. And actually, that's how I started my relationship with him. So yeah, they mostly get you back.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, when we were in LA, I saw like you and Shaq have a real rapport. Like, not
yeah.
like
yeah. He's
your bud.
He's the best.
He's your homie.
He's honest. He's a real life Superman, and it brings like a tear because he is what he's that good of a guy, and he wants to make people feel good, and he's
Are
incredible.
you actually crying? You actually look like you just welled up a little bit in your eyes.
No, honestly, I think about what he's done for me, but like it's genuine too, and not like just for me, what he does for other people, and half the stuff that he doesn't go in the media. When he walks into a store and buys people dinners and buys people things, and not like that's the only thing, but he like it really is like who he is. Like, he wants to make people feel good and help people out, and he understands what being a celebrity. Like he understands he has like a superpower to make people feel good, and he makes people feel great. It's so funny you said that because I went on Facebook this morning, which I only use Facebook for birthdays, and a photo came up. My first photo of Shaquille O'Neal from 11 years ago, and I wish I could show you this photo, but it's a photo from 11 years ago, and Shaquille O'Neal choking me out. It's my first photo with him, and he's choking me out with his hands, like he's gonna rip my head off. But that's what you want in a photo. You want a photo that like is a fun photo. You don't want just the standard like arm on the shoulder or you're not friends. Like he makes it a good experience, and he's the best. Well, speaking of experiences, you have a pretty interesting experience with Kanye West of all people. You've had experiences with him. What is that like, and how is he in person?
Well, it's funny because I've known 4 people that he's attacked, and yet every time I saw him, he was in a good mood. It was just like, it was like, he actually like, like I made him laugh, and then he like plugged something about his like Yeezus shoes or something like that. And there's been other times where it's just like you're mobbed, but like no incidents happened. But I know like, like the first person who he attacked was Eric Crown, who directed Harambe.
Harambe with it,
plug. But and like he attacked Dano, who was the one who got Britney Spears the umbrella. He attacked another guy. I can't say his name because he'll get butthurt. And then the fourth was what's her name? Nicole, whose pap nickname was Nasty Sinatra. She's one that just well, 2 of them actually got Gloria Allred to represent them.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, I feel
Kanye attacked them, but didn't attack you. That's good.
Didn't attack me, and like he could have. I asked him like kind of like a question. It could have gone the bad way. It was like right after he was still married to Kim. She had just done the Paper magazine.
Oh, like the infamous break the internet one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I said something about like, so when are you going to get greased up for Paper magazine? And he just instead of like he just laughed, and then I like transitioned into about something about his shoes being released.
That's so funny. Yeah, it could really go either way with him. What has been your interactions with Amanda Bynes throughout the years? Because I feel like she's one person also that people have interesting stories of run-ins with her on the street.
Well, unfortunately, I had to take part of when she was going through her mental breakdown. Mm-hmm. Luckily, I wasn't the first one to get her. That was a friend of mine, and he got in trouble because they said he was insensitive to the questions he was asking, which were the exact questions that they asked him to ask her, but they said he did it in an insensitive way.
Oh, so they asked him to say these questions and then made fun of him for asking the questions?
Yeah, then got mad at him for asking those questions.
Of course.
So I was a little on edge about seeing her, and like it was Like I remember I was at the Beverly Center and she was close by, and like they're just like keep it exclusive, and like I didn't spread that tip. It was just like, but they were like the other paps were on her like flies on shit. So, so it was, but it was quick, and I honestly I felt bad because she was just like she was having an episode. It was over with quickly, but then in 2015 I had an assignment to get her outside of a courthouse in Oxnard, and I was the only paparazzi there. Mm-hmm. And I had my camera out, and I'm just waiting. I don't see anything, but she's like, then like the bailiff came up to me, who might have been the tipster, and just like, she just walked right past you.
Oh, like she changed her look or something?
Yeah, I could not. I didn't spot her. Like, it was just like she walked right past me. But there were other times.
She's like dyed her hair. She's got like super platinum blonde. Like she really can switch her look pretty easy, I would say.
Yeah.
And if she just put makeup on top of her face tattoos, you wouldn't know it was her. You know what I'm saying? Like it changes her just enough that she could walk past. I get it.
Yeah, and this wasn't the situation here, but like sometimes you'll get spotted. Like I remember I had an assignment for Columbus Short, and his bail bondsman was the same guy who like got Michael Madsen out of jail, and he recognized me. So then like he saw me, and he snuck Columbus Short in like another way. I missed the shot.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Start working on their team. And I think a lot of people like that feel like they're the hero to the celebrity when they're like, oh, well, we spotted the camera guy, so yeah. I'm the hero and I'm going to get you around it.
Dude, it happens to me all the time. I go, don't be a hero. Don't be a hero. They're not going to remember you. Don't be a hero. I'm like, you're not their friend. Trust me. Like, you could be friends with me. You're never going to be friends with them. You're never going to get invited to their house. You're never going to get invited to their party. They're not. It doesn't work that way. It's funny. Every time I saw Amanda Bynes in New York City, I only saw her during her, obviously when things were the breakdown, when she was having some mental problems. I want to say this very nicely. I don't want to say, I'm trying to like, I don't want to, I'm trying to be political here, be respectful of her mental issues. But, I remember seeing her a few times in New York, and she would walk chaotically, and she'd have that bleach blonde hair, and she's tall too. And it was like, what is this? It was just like a character. I mean, it was someone who was definitely struggling and really stood out.
I didn't realize she was tall.
She was tall for me. I mean, not tall. She was like 5'8", 5'10". I mean, that's not okay. She's not short by any means, but she stands out, especially between the height and the blonde hair. Mm-hmm. Definitely got your attention. Jeremiah, who would be the person that if you're doing Pap Safari would say would be the best person to pap in front of an audience? Like, it just made it always like a fun experience, like understood what you do.
That's a good question, and I apologize. I have a little brain fog this morning.
Yeah, no. I'm trying to think like in my end it would be.
Who do you guys think?
I would say Lisa Vanderpump is always good for that kind of stuff.
Oh, definitely.
Just because she's always someone, like, anytime one of the tour buses would go by her restaurant, she would take a second, talk to people. I think she's kind of one of those people that's like good for a tour bus, but also good for just entertainment purposes.
Like they know what they are. They entertain the celebrity aspect of it.
Yeah, and promote their business at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, That's why the Safari, I had to pivot to just like taking their picture, because sometimes we would see like celebrities, but like the tourists would be like, who's that? Or like, I'd be like, hey, we got a tip on so-and-so. They're just like, we don't know who they are. So you have to make it about them. They don't care about, unless it's like Tom Cruise and he's not going to show up.
Yeah. I remember I took this girl out and it was with her parents, and I brought them with me on the streets, and it was a fall day, and the father was a very big into pop culture, celebrity news, entertainment news, and I let him shoot Rihanna with me. And he was just on his cell phone, but he went in like the paparazzi gangbang where it was like 12 people like in the crowd. And it gets physical. I mean, because people are fighting to get paid. I mean, this is your chance to make money, and you're going to do what you got to do to get paid. And it's, I love that. I love bringing people on the tour and get people to see what it's like. It's a as long as they treat it respectfully and don't think I'm a piece of shit, but that's pretty hard as well. Tell me about the movie Harambe that you did. You did this documentary Harambe with a former journalist, Eric Crown. Tell people about this movie Harambe.
Well, it's kind of a look at the captivity industry and just how like zoos have breeded animals. And it's just kind of like about the history of zoos and just about the history of captivity. It's a great documentary though, because it's like it was so low budget, but it like really got a point across, and we got some great people, including Dax as the talking head about pop culture. We got
Adam, did you know I was in it?
I did. I remember that.
I did it. Yeah, it was cool. It was, and it's done really well. It's got a lot of people talking about it. I think it's opened up a lot of awareness to his death and kind of the behind the scenes of the whole thing. I mean, it has been well received by a lot of people.
And it even has Virginia McKenna from Born Free, which is a movie in like the 60s about the tiger.
Mm-hmm.
And it has Peter Egan, who was in Chariots of Fire. Do you guys remember that movie? It was early 80s.
Long time ago.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. But that's pretty cool that you made the transition, obviously, from being behind the camera, shooting these celebrities, to actually making a production, an actual production that's actually getting great reviews. The movie's called Harambe again. What is this something that you kind of learned from being your past field as far as being a celebrity journalist that you're trying to pursue more as more documentary type style content, or like after Harambe, or what do you want to do exactly?
Well, I want to leave that open, but actually I got into sales because the whole the movie industry is just it's hard, you got to have like a lot of passion. You got to have a lot of patience, and maybe somewhere down the line. But I would still like to do some more documentaries. I think they're, little think pieces are always good, are always fun, and definitely like more in the realm of pop culture. There's always subjects that can be brought up again.
With the Pap Safari gig, how do people book you, by the way? Like if someone is coming, because we have a lot of people that listen to our podcast, they ask us for advice when they come to LA, like where do we go? What should we go see? What should we go do? And I feel like going out and hanging out with you for a day would be like a really good thing for people to do. So how the hell do they book you?
Well, they can book on paparazzisafari.com, or it's also on Airbnb experiences, or
Were they staying at your house with you?
No.
Okay, so there's an experience package on there that you can get booked on.
Yeah, and there's also, if you follow me on Instagram at Pap Safari, you can just DM me. We can work it out. But I like it with Airbnb because they take care of a lot of the marketing and all the other stuff. And
That's cool. That's dope, dude.
That's pretty awesome.
I'm glad it's working out for you.
Congratulations for Harambe. And where can people kind of check out Harambe?
Oh, it's on Amazon Prime. Just type in Harambe. And it is also on Films for Action, but Amazon Prime's the big one. And hopefully it'll be on another streaming service soon. But I like Amazon. Everybody has it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go watch it.
Always fun talking to a former colleague. Jeremiah's a good guy. He's doing some good work with Pap Safari and also Harambe, which you were part of that film. So it's cool. I thought it was a fun idea. They're getting a lot of people. It's just a cool title for a film. I know it's an unfortunate story, but Harambe, you're like, what? It's a strong name.
No, I was watching it the other day because they're starting to do a lot of the promotion for it and like really push the movie out. It's won some awards. And so, I was watching it. It turned out really good. It's funny because I did it like at my old office. It was this like echoey ass room that we did it in, but I was so nervous when we filmed it. I'm like, this is a horrible spot to be filming. And it works for the film because the film is, it's dark, essentially, because you're talking about this, super famous gorilla that was shot and killed after that child fell into the enclosure. And, people just felt like, should something different have happened that day? And that would be like, do you tranquilize the animal? Do you try to save its life? It wasn't his fault that a baby fell in. And then there's questions of, they go back and watch the footage, and was was he actually protecting the child? I mean, there's like so many questions surrounding Harambe and his death, and so go watch it and give us some feedback on what you think.
Yeah, Jeremiah, good guy. He always had fun. And what I like about Jeremiah, he has fun on the street. He understands that it's just the whole thing is just so ridiculous. It's just such a scene from not just the Paps and the fans. It's like you have to be on the outside looking like, guys, this is all insane. It's just so insane, but it's to me, it's really funny. And Jeremiah, we kind of think alike on that. Make sure you check him out. Thank you guys for listening.
I do feel like people, when they come to LA, that would be a fun excursion for them. You know, like you're here. What else are you going to do? Oh, let me go get papped for a day. Like that sounds fun to me.
Well, you also get papped, but also go for a tour with a paparazzi, and hearing that like inside tour, and it's a way better tour than the tour bus, because the tour bus, I haven't done one of those in years, but I just think you want to hear something like stories or some inside information rather than this. You know, you could get all that, but hear from a person who's not reading a script and you ask real questions and is also in the game. Thank you guys for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. Thank you guys for listening. Follow us on all our social media platforms. We have a private Facebook group called Off the Record, which if you don't know about it, you should know about it, and you should be in it. Follow me at Adam Glyn. Follow Dax at Dax Holt. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
What's up, guys? If you like that video, there's plenty more where that came from.
Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell so we can just feed you all the goodness daily.
Hurry up. Come on, let's go.